All right, Ian, there was a momentous occasion that happened in the world of gaming.
Video games being saved. Video gaming has been saved.
Before we discuss the Real Game Awards, there might be people that be listening to this and discovering this that would think that we love the Jeff Keighley Game Awards. We have railed against the Game Awards almost every year the past 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, let's be very careful here. We're not standing up for corporations here. The Game Awards suck ass, and we talk about it every year.
It's overly corporate. They show too much trailers. They don't give enough time to actually go through the games and the people to they cut off people. They give you like 20 seconds to like give their acceptance speeches, and they stopped acknowledging like luminaries of video game history and past developers.
Yep.
They stopped
for ads. It's all ad money. It's all corporate nonsense. Just fucking money in the mill.
So Stuttering Craig, previously of Screw Attack, who sold it to Rooster Teeth and then started doing bring back the Side Scrollers podcast, which used to be on Screw Attack. He quit doing video game content, came back. Hard to follow, but
because he wasn't real good at stuff.
Well, that your opinion may vary on that. He announced in July, Take Games Back, a new award show. This is the announcement off of Twitter. We'll play it on the big screen here to give you a background here before we go into it.
A few months ago when I announced Take Games Back, I, like many of you, had pretty much just reached a tipping point. I was, and am, just sick and tired of seeing gamers just disrespected by journalists and even people within the video game industry. It is amazing to see an industry that has just such disregard for its customers. Take Games Back was and is a call to action because something has to be done.
Okay.
And since I made that announcement...
So basically, comes from the Craig's podcast has leaned into sort of the, let's get woke stuff out of games.
Sort of leaned into it. That's all it is. That's it.
I don't watch all the podcasts. I just have stuff sent.
That's what it is now.
So leaned into anti-woke, anti-DEI, less anti-LGBTQ stuff. Like we don't want to see this in games. That's what it's sort of become. And the members that he has on has like, those are the people that he has on his podcast as guests. That's what it's become.
Well, when your mainstream success fails, I mean, that's the quickest way to go find some money.
Sure, that could be your opinion of that, but let's go on.
Journalists, consultants, and industry activists have almost like doubled down. We've seen journalists dox people, literally call people's wives, and even...
That's a reference to Smash JT, by the way. I'll just say that.
...challenge people to physical fights. I mean, what a joke.
Well, okay. I respond to this. So, the background to all this, and part of this, is that we'll get into him later. Good old Jeff Tarzia, Smash AT is currently being sued by a games journalist for defamation and for basically online harassment because Smash AT did about 50 videos about this person. 50. And was seen as targeted harassment, and that's what the lawsuit's over. That's what Craig's referencing.
He's crazy obsessive and allegedly loves to drink his own piss. Hold on a second, though. So I want to talk about the beginning, though.
Sure.
And how this was... They fall back on when... we'll see this later. They fall back on this just being an alternate to the commercial, etc. award show.
You say they in terms of the people with this stance.
They fall back on it, that's what this is allegedly supposed to be. However, it's clearly just a reactionary movement, and that's in the first minute of this. I mean, it's insane. Disrespected, sick and tired, disregard, call to action. These are all the words you do. People tuning in to see this for the first time, who aren't reactionary and don't need to feel maligned like gamers
that aren't constantly online.
Yeah. They're probably going to stop and just not care. It's the people who already feel maligned.
They feel aggrieved.
That this is going to connect, and it's a very cheap tactic, and that's going to be important for something we bring up later when we talk about pricing.
So you're writing notes. That's what you're
doing. I'm taking notes. Yeah.
As I said before, it's one big club, and you're not even invited to it. And the worst part about it is that these people have the gall to think that they get to decide the best games of the year at some overly corporatized, super sterile award show that plays it safe.
I mean, I don't know about.
This is not your grandma's fucking award show.
I mean, all award shows are corporate because that's where the funding comes from. I mean, that's sort of part and parcel. I hate some of the sports award shows. I don't like I don't watch the Oscars because it's too
fucking
much.
Award shows in I don't believe that there's a way to do a long running award show that would always stay quality. And there are no award shows that I want to watch or pay any attention to.
Sure.
I feel like you could jump out and do one. I don't know. Maybe the original Game Award, maybe the first Game Awards was decent or something.
The Spike TV one from like 20 years
maybe.
ago.
I don't know. I didn't watch it. But the longer it's around and the more successful it gets, the more the outside companies want to pour money in. And
more trailers.
It's an industry and a type of show that's made to be compromised.
Sure.
Not anymore. Starting today, Take Games Back is officially called the Real Game Awards. I've always thought the phrase for gamers, by gamers is extremely cliche, but I gotta be honest, that's exactly what the Real Game Awards is. You decide what you like best, not some activist blogger out of San Francisco or New York.
Oh, those. Oh, those.
Look at the seriousness in your fucking face.
Those elitists.
Those because that's really what's fucking. So another thing that I want to bring up a little bit more later, but when you look at the awards at the end, like in what wins some of the more notable awards, really not that fucking different from the real game, from the Game Awards.
The real ones, the actual Game Awards versus the real Game Awards. So the actual Game Awards, a lot of the winners were similar.
Yeah.
All that bullshit product placement and all that celebrity nonsense that's thrown in there. Get right to the core of it. It's about games. If you're
okay, hold on. We're gonna remember that.
Okay, all about the games. Got it. All about the games.
Tired of all the nonsense in the video game industry and want to help reclaim the voice for actual.
But this music's annoying. By this like weird ass music is annoying me. But that's a production call.
Gamers, become a voting member of the Real Game Awards. And hell yes, we're gonna gatekeep.
I just think that else should be on the soundboard. Sorry.
It's like I mean, what I see when I hear this is him on his knees begging for relevance.
This is tough for me because I've known Craig since like 2008 or so. It's just tough for me to.
You know, the first time I ever had an experience with him.
I don't. Okay.
It wasn't me talking to him. It was at the first and only MagFest I went to, and I was walking around.
2013 or so.
2014, I believe, 2014 or 15. And I'm walking around on the arcade floor, and it's during the first day, and he's being interviewed by someone, and you can hear like the people doing the Colossus roar from the X-Men arcade game, which is a MagFest thing, and he's fucking whining about it to the person who's interviewing him. He's like, "This drives me nuts. You know, me and my friends did this first like 5 years ago," and he just seems like he's so constantly in need of attention is what I've gathered.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you can't do this. It's mine.
All right. Back to Taking Games Back.
Why it costs $30 a year to become a voting member.
It originally wasn't $30 to vote. It was originally $60, which we'll get into later.
But so. I want to jump back where I was talking about how it begins and how it you know, people who are not constantly online are probably going to be put off by that intro, and they immediately siphon off. So what you have is you're shooting fish in a barrel. You have the people you want who believe in the thing who believe in your ideology and the idea that these games are woke or whatever, and then you charge them money for it. So only the hardcores in your barrel that you're targeting,
your fan base barrel,
are going to be voting.
Sure.
If you become a member today, guess what? We're actually taking suggestions for categories right now. Yes, you will decide the categories voted on.
Wow, gee whiz!
This year's award show. In 2024, we want to do a digital event because our goal is simple. We want to save as much money as we can for 2025 where we can hold a physical event. I don't care if we do it at a Buffalo Wild Wings. The point is, we gotta take action. With that said, it's time for you to take action and help reclaim the voice for gamers in this industry and hobby that we all love. Go to therealgameawards.com and become a voting member and start suggesting categories literally right now.
Literally right now.
Okay. So that's how it starts. That's how the Real Game Awards start. I'll just say that. I'll just say this about the name in terms of branding. It's obviously a tactic to say we are more legitimate than the Game Awards that has existed for the past 20 years. It originally wasn't called the Game Awards, but then it became that after it left Spike when Jeff Keighley started running it, part and parcel.
Right.
It's to me always low class in general. This is just a marketing thing to say you're the real something.
Oh yeah.
In order to say we're better than them versus just calling yourself. You can call yourself anything else. Anything. You can name your award show anything. But to say you're the real one is to, again, try to drive that wedge. Like you said, the people that you're shooting fish in a barrel that are on board. You're right. This is the action. This is the real one.
Well, and it's the it's the no true Scotsman thing too. It's like, okay, so what is a real, like what are these dividing lines that make it a real Game Awards versus a fake Game Awards?
Sure. So again, $30 to nominate and vote, which I guess is gatekeeping. He mentioned, we're gatekeeping. So just from, first of all, the philosophy of using an award show to quote unquote take games back or to change an entire industry, that to me is fallacious on the surface, because an award show is used usually as a reflection of what's currently happening in that medium.
Yes.
Looking back the past year or so in general. The Grammys, this is what's happening in music. We're going to have people that are going to perform here, give out awards for the past year. This is what's relevant now. Same with the ESPYs. What's the biggest things that happen in sports? The Academy Awards. What's the biggest movies? We're going to show clips, things like that. For something like especially for an entertainment medium, where all the money to make the games that are bought the most by folks are usually these games that cost hundreds of millions of dollars to do, the Call of Duties, to do, the new EA sports games, to do the FIFA games. They are not going to be affected by any award show,
right,
at all, ever. Whether it's Jeff Keighley's, whether it's Stuttering Craig's, they're going to put out games that historically have made the most money, or they might take a risk. Nintendo is probably the only one of the ones left that might take a risk and put out something different attached to an IP that'll make money.
Sure.
They still have that mindset. We're going to experiment and do something fun. But for Sony and Microsoft, no. No award. Their money's made. Their money's made already. So for them being awarded the best, I don't know, if the Call of Duty game's the best first-person shooter, they don't give a shit because they've made their money. They're on to the next one coming out next year. They're on to the Black Ops one. They're on. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't care anymore.
Right.
It doesn't matter. And in terms of,
it's like when Tommy said that people at Nintendo or whatever were paying close attention. No, these people don't care.
They don't care.
They do not care about this small, angry real game awards.
No. So that's to me sort of okay. That's just a strange thing about that.
Yeah.
The fact that it was originally $60 before there was Backlash, and they changed it back to $30 when they first announced this, that told me a couple of things. One, it was an arbitrary number. Because to go from 60 to 30, you're dropping 50% down. It's not like, hey, we're adjusting for $5. That showed me that Craig was almost testing the waters to see if he can get away with $60.
Yeah.
Because if he can get away with it, it would have remained at $60.
Oh, yeah,
minus a $5 promo code here or there that he does whenever someone he doesn't like, online says something. He'll say, oh, promo code $5, that person's name. There'll probably be a CU Podcast promo code if he sees this. So from going from 60 to 30 told me he doesn't have his ducks in a row around knowing how many people are going to want to do this versus what are my actual costs going to be to put on the virtual show this year and then the physical show the year after.
Right.
This is just see what happens. Get the money in. See what happens, and we'll figure it out later, which is not a great way to run a business venture or a nonprofit, if you want to say that in this case, where you don't want to do that.
No, it's just getting an idea and kind of rushing into it.
Yes. It comes across, we didn't plan this out. If a game came out, Ian, if Ubisoft put out an Assassin's Creed game for $120, which now is like a thing now for some of their packages, but then said, oh, we fucked up $60 the next day for the same thing, people are like, you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Right.
What's happening here?
Or it wouldn't give me much faith in the production either, because they don't know what they need.
Sure. So that to me is strange. And then people are now paying to nominate and vote for games. So you're not even including a swath of your fan base of that watches your show. Because say it's like a verification, you're not a bot. And these are all fallacious as well. Say it's like we want to keep the corporate people out of this. I don't know. Like, what if there was some company out there like that wanted to game the system because there's not a huge amount of voters? What if they had people sign up and then flood it and their game gets nominated and wins? They could do it for only several $1,000s based upon how many people were actually, we have about 900 people that they said that were voting on this stuff. You could game the system. A corporation do that easily if they thought it was worth their time and money. Yes. They could absolutely do that.
Yes, absolutely. And now, that's a different way of getting corporate money into it if it were to happen.
Yes.
But as I said to you yesterday, and we've talked about, that's the whole point. The whole point is to give this illusion of, only the people who care are going to, buy and, pay in, and it's going to be from you, the gamers and the viewers. But it's targeting a specific market. It's getting their money. It's feeding off of their anger and then using it to highlight that kind of viewpoint.
But even if they're not angry, so let's just say they want an alternative. What if someone hasn't seen the content of the podcast? Like, okay, I remember Screw Attack. I want to do this. I want to give $30. I remember going to SGC 12, 13 years ago, like I did.
Right.
The fact that you're now gatekeeping at $30, you're getting someone that only has that level of income in order to even get to buy into it.
Yes.
So you have someone that's probably spending a lot on games to begin with. That $30 is nothing, because nowadays, $60, $70 for a AAA game, people are gonna or might have a problem. For example, they're going to say the next GTA might be $80 to $100. People are going to flip their minds over that. But $30, if it was $5 or $10, you'd probably quadruple the amount of people that could get in. You'd go from 900 people to 5,000. Now you're running. Now you're off and running. So to me, the fact that they didn't do that maybe lets me know that, okay, they don't think they could have got many people, or not enough to make up. They'd rather go for the whales, so to speak, versus the smaller, people that don't have the money to spend. So that to me is a bad move, because you're delegitimizing what you're doing by limiting the number of people that are doing it. So the other problem I have with this is that these people are now paying $30 to vote. There's no guarantee now, and we'll get into media journalists voting versus this. One of the issues by having the public vote on all these things is that you don't know if they're actually qualified in terms of having played these games that they're now voting on. They may have heard these games being discussed on a podcast or on side scrollers. They have seen a YouTuber do a video saying, "Oh, this is cool," or "This game is bad, and this is why." But now there's no guarantee that there's any integrity to the voting.
Sure.
Just regardless of the political stance or non-political stance of the show, you're now trusting that these people that are paying $30 don't have their own agenda. The fact that they're paying $30 to go their way.
Yes, but they know they have their own agenda.
But in theory, you don't know.
In theory, you don't know.
I'm
saying that's the point of this.
Sure. So that's my problem, just on sort of a logical surface, is that the more people you have, to me, the less chance you have of buffoonery happening or weird things happening. When you widen your base of voters versus restricting it to $30 a vote, originally $60 a vote. So there you go. So that's what I have about that. And the industry media voting on things. Here's the thing. The media's job is to play these games, to cover them. They are more likely to have actually played the games that they are voting on.
And admittedly, not always. Like, there's been problems, but like that, you are at least pulling from an industry where nominally everyone has played what they're talking about.
Yes. And like with, we'll say, nominating people for the Hall of Fame or the All-Star Game, the reason you include the media is that they are professionals and that it's their job to track these things historically and to know the context of these things that happen, and to not miss out on a player from the Pistons, maybe, getting his due. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, it's supposed to be, all right, it doesn't matter if it's a game that 5,000 people played or 5 million. We are more likely to know about this game because we cover these games for a living. Sure. You might disagree with that, but that's the philosophy of having the media and the corporate side involved in these things. They know more the breadth of this. Otherwise, it's, if you're a random $30 person, you have to be fed these things individually. All these, 150 games to be voted on. You don't know if you can you're not gonna be able to play them all. You don't have the money to buy them all. The Academy Awards, if you were an Academy member, historically what they would do, is give you a digital or physical screener copy of these things to vote on. I've seen
exactly.
I've seen them for sale at the swap meet. I've seen screeners of, hey, here's a season of Nip Tuck, the Emmy version.
My friend collected those for a while.
That's weird. But the point is that there was a structure set up to make sure that not everyone, of course, but in theory, most of the people voting on these things at least have the opportunity to know about the things they're voting on. This does not have that at all.
Right.
This is just trusting that you gave $30, you now know about the games you're voting on.
But it's real.
So there you go. Okay. Want to talk about the financial aspect of what was promised versus what was delivered? So, So Craig, to his credit in this video that was, I think, posted on the website, did say, hey, the first year will be digital. I don't think at the very start it was necessarily like that, but digital event the first year. However, on the site, there was always a $150 tier that said award show ticket coming soon, $150.
I think that might just... not to split hairs, there's plenty of things to criticize here. I think that was just that's the name of the tier for that year. I mean, virtual ticket, fake ticket.
But it was seen by everyone, though. That's the thing. So that probably should have been changed, because there's probably some people that, hell, there might have been some people that probably sponsor will get to that thought this would be an in-person event.
With your support, we'll, number one, be able to make the app. And number two, be able to create a physical award show that you'll be able to attend, guess what, with the app serving as your ticket.
It wasn't explicit on the site that, hey, virtual event. Yeah, this was a live show for everyone on YouTube. It wasn't just people that bought a ticket or paying members. So that to me is a little bit, you got to be a little more upfront with these things. There was a thing on the site that was brought to my attention that was archived. It was a test post by Craig that went through, hey, we're just here, this thing works. And I'm going to read it off because it exists, and it might give you an insight to his thought process when this happened. This was back in April. This is when it was still Take Games Back. This is before, so this was April, before that July video. So at this point, it was still in person.
Okay.
So it changed, likely, in my opinion, when he probably realized we're not enough money.
We don't have enough money to do it in person, right?
Which is wrong, because you probably should have said at the start, "Hey, if we don't get enough money, it's going to be virtual." So here you go. The things are progressing. I've had my head down for the better part of the month. Again, this is April of last year, working on a number of different things, including branding and platform development. I'm going to be honest with you. I had no idea website development had gotten so expensive. One quote I received was over $33,000 to build a basic version of what I like to do. I guess it means the website or app, because I saw an app mentioned.
Yeah.
Nope, that doesn't make sense. Okay. This is where I have an issue with this.
I don't want you to feel like you have to keep talking.
Sure,
I mean, we both understand.
What's your issue with this?
Well, my issue with this is that he did Screw Attack through conventions for years. He has nothing but experience in this.
And in running the Screw Attack website and web development.
He has nothing but experience in this. If there was one thing I would give him, it's that he has experience in doing this. So he's playing. I think he's playing dumb here.
I was a beta tester of Screw Attack, 2.0 back in 2000, whatever that was, 2009 or 10. So I've seen when the website had major changes 15 years ago. So here's my problem with this. You don't tell the people that either just gave you money or you want money from that, hey, I didn't price this stuff out beforehand.
Right. You're supposed to go into this sort of thing with, here's my budget, this is what I need to do this.
Yes. Which I'll get into a website he could have used to do that in a second. Okay. We're playing the long game here and are out to make an impact on the world of gaming, and blowing a ton of cash off the bat doesn't make a whole lot of sense. With that said, I did hire a firm to give this shanty town of a website a fresh coat of paint and some new features. Okay. You'll see that soon. And the website was updated a little bit, but it wasn't extravagant. Okay. My goal is to be as transparent as possible. Remember that, transparent as possible. Write
transparent.
That down. As we build this and bring you along for the ride, so you can yell at me from the back of the car, letting me know I missed a turn or you have to go pee. One really important thing to finish up, Take Games Back, is the code name for what this club will eventually become. With that, With that said, Take Games Back will always be the mission. I'll have an update on the name and branding soon. So,
so that's the second time I've noticed he's called it a club.
Okay. He says at the beginning, too. Thanks
Well,
there
there was something in the intro video, too. And so here we are talking about elites and exclusionary award shows, and all he calls it is a club. And what is the definition of a club? Let's see what the definition of a club right Okay. I can say it's generally an exclusionary group of people belonging to members, an association or organization dedicated to a particular interest or activity. So I guess in that broad term, maybe not so much, but still, I feel like calling it a club is to inspire this us against them.
Because in that July video, he said they're in a club and you're not invited.
Right.
And you're starting your own club.
So now you're starting your own club. So you're not really trying to fix anything. You're just trying to have a reactionary club.
It's just a different version of what that is, your version of it.
Reactionary movements. Always so good. So this
post that basically said, you know, I took money from folks without having my costs known. This is what it reads to me, and that I'm going to be as transparent as possible. This post was gone.
Oh,
I'm reading from Web Archive about this. It's just interesting. Yep, interesting point. We can come back to that. Was it transparent as possible? Did you write that down?
I have that down over here.
Okay,
different set of notes.
So money was taken in. The amount that I've seen online through a couple different sources, and they admitted today they're getting closer to 1,000 paying members. That would be closer to $30,000 pat math. Plus, they had elite $1,337 amounts for sponsorships.
Those were the whales.
Yes. So we're talking. We'll just say $30,000 is what the revenue was, give or take, for this event. And what was the actual, event that actually came in?
Well, I went through it, and
so did I. I watched it all 1.5x speed, thankfully.
So all that money got you 35 minutes of an awards show.
Not in person. Was
nothing
digital.
In person. Craig is in an empty arcade bar somewhere. I don't know.
He's videotaping himself on a tripod, basically giving the mission statement of what it is.
And then there are segments hosted by people who briefly pop in. And for something that's all about the games, there's almost no game footage. They show no game footage for any of the nominees.
Or winners.
They don't talk about any of the reasons the games would have been nominated. They don't talk about what made the games good or bad. They literally just have a stream of talking heads that come in, give the award, and that's the end of the day.
They say, hey, with 30% of the vote, it's this game, or Stellar Blade, which won like 8 awards, and we're gone. People that gave, Craig asked them to do a webcam, they mailed it in, 5 minutes of their time. There you go. There wasn't, and these are like basically slideshow stills in between, like Photoshop little things. Back to Craig. Craig intros another person on a webcam. Their video plays. It's something that someone could have edited together in about a day, half a day. They could edit this together, like 5 hours. You could edit it together.
Where'd the money go?
Well, we're getting to the transparent as possible before. There was an animation in the beginning of the video.
If you needed to know why, if you want to immediately know what this award show is truly like, who it's trying to talk to and who it's trying to represent, within 5 seconds of the animation starting, there is one of the most racist caricatures of Hideo Kojima I've ever seen. It looks like a classic cartoon. Like, it looks like one
Warner
of the
Brothers World War II era.
I had a VHS when I was younger of the Warner Brothers wartime cartoons, and Leonard Maltin would discuss everything in between each cartoon and talk about what was going on, and it had the classic warning that was like, we do not like. It was done at a certain time. Things have changed, but we're preserving this for educational sake and history. And man, it was right out of those.
Yeah, it's a very, very bad portrayal of a luminary of video game history. Someone that is associated through Jeff Keighley as being, he's been honored on the Video Game Awards before. I watched that. I'm like, why would you want to take your little shots, your petty shots at Jeff? I kind of get it because he's the face of your quote unquote competition. Why would you even go there? Racist portrayal or any portrayal of Kojima, like, why would you even go? Like, what did Kojima ever do?
It's just lowest fucking denominator shit.
That, hey, we can get away with this?
Yeah.
Who's going to stop us from doing this?
The point of these people is to just be as cruel as possible and to complain constantly.
When I saw that, and he put that online.
The cruelty is the point.
He put that online 24 hours before, Craig, and in my head,
that was the shot right? That was in a
no. He put that on. Tweet. He put that 30 seconds on.
Oh,
he put the whole thing on 30 seconds before. And when I saw that, I was like, I cannot believe someone with Craig's history of doing business and trying to keep relationships with people would ever agree. Hopefully he didn't it's bad enough that he allowed that to go on without snipping that out. I hope he didn't instruct that to be put it to the animator. Like that, I mean, it's
whether he did or didn't is a moot point at this point.
I
he saw it and said, that's going to literally be the first impression we give of our Game Awards.
And then there was a voiceover from John St. John doing Duke Nukem, who shows up, not a parody, it was Duke Nukem. Then I started thinking to myself, does John St. John know he's doing a voiceover showing a racist portrayal of Kojima in the intro? Would he have done that?
Right.
Then I thought to myself, looking at all these presenters, do they know what's going to be? And this is before I even saw the whole thing. Do some of the presenters know what is in store here?
Here's what I'm going to say. And I'm going to keep this fairly generic, and you can fill in any blanks you need to. There are a few people in the presenting group that I was bummed to see. But Craig is a person who has been around doing this for a long time.
Almost 20 years.
And he, I'm not even saying this to be particularly insulting, he kind of fell off after Screw Attack. Probably kept in touch with these people. Now, I think if you checked in on Craig, you probably could have seen that maybe this wasn't something you really wanted to be a part of. My point is, Craig still has a lot of connections from the 2010s and mid-2015s, from the Screw Attack stuff.
The 2000s, basically the late 2000s to 2010s.
And I feel like, and I think I'm fairly confident in this, that some of those people who were in there, some of the people, I feel like a lot of, because there was never one cohesive thing. There was nothing on site. This was all people sending bits and pieces. I feel like he conned some people into being involved.
Without letting them know this is the type of show this is going to be.
Now, I will say, and I'm not going to get particularly angry about it, but we are in the era where people really need to do their diligence before signing up. Diligence before signing up for something like this. Because like I said, it would only take a cursory amount of looking to be like, I think this guy's a little bit different. But
maybe he's not the same person I knew.
Yes.
Sure. No, that's fair. Not everyone's always online. But I see what you're saying. You trust someone that you might have known for 15 years, that you've worked with them for a long time. It'll be the same thing, but now it's different.
You got to keep up on that stuff, whether it's a real professional life or online. We are beyond the point of looking at this stuff as like a collab for a website. This is now something that, especially in this day and age, like, you got to be careful about what gets out with your face on it.
Sure. So, so I watched this, and real quick, I'm not going to dwell on the Duke Nukem thing, but you're trying to remind people of the good old days that happened in like the mid 2000s, the edgy games. Duke Nukem Forever came out, and no one fucking liked the game. It was a critical commercial failure when it came out. It did not do as well as people hoped, and that's why there hasn't been a real Duke Nukem game, since. Like that, we've sort of moved on.
Yeah, in between there, they did like an HD like reimagining, a remaster of the original.
Yeah,
kind of nice, but I mean,
we don't need it.
But you play it again, and it's like removed from its era.
It's a relic.
It's a relic.
Yeah.
Doom, stands up, whereas Duke Nukem at the time added some cool things, but. Sure. That was every FPS after that. It just iterated and iterated and iterated.
It's like Hulk Hogan coming back to Raw a few weeks ago, where it's like, no one wants to see Grandpa anymore. We're past that.
Yeah, the level designs were cool in Duke Nukem because you could actually have bridges and walkways. There was some fun weapons, and it had funny voice clips when you were a kid.
Okay, so we know the money wasn't spent on the audio was a Ren and Stimpy tune. The one you've seen, a classic tune, wasn't licensed Craig said, they got copyright, claimed he had to re-upload it. So we know money wasn't spent there. Money was probably spent on the animation. Money was probably spent, I think it's John St. John to do the voiceover, or maybe it was a favor because John St. John did, he presented the nominees and the presenters and stuff like that. So it wasn't quick work. It was probably a couple hours of work, doing a voiceover, an hour, for, running through it, making sure it's correct there. So there was a chunk of the presenters. If you want to delve into the information online, you can. A chunk are right wingers. So whenever I see someone say something's not political, or we're keeping our politics out of this, you have to see about who are the people involved with it, and if they are all of one sort or one section, you can't say it's not political anymore.
I'm also going to say, in my experience, that only one side ever really tries to claim that we're not doing the politics thing, and it's because I generally find that to be a bit of a red flag.
And at least one person I saw on this has been criticized the past couple weeks, even by people that normally like them, for pushing for basically censoring stuff out of games, or we want sex and nudity out of games. We sort of like a Christian puritanical sort of twist to.
But this is where you wonder why it's so funny, because they can't get their fucking messaging straight. They're just throwing out a net for the dregs, the unhappy, because you can't have that sort. You have that person, but you also have a category for best jiggle physics.
Yes, which we'll get into again. Throwback to 20 years ago.
Just fucking what's your message?
I just think it's funny because it's it goes from, well, we don't want the woke stuff in gaming, but now they're turning to, we don't want this other stuff that's not woke in gaming, but now it doesn't fit our vision of our, our puritanical vision of how the world should be. Not all, but some people have turned it to that.
Yeah.
It's sort of now we want to march down this path.
Yep.
And obviously some of these people are no, I like the boobs in games. What are you doing? That's what happens. So we get to one of the presenters, Jeff Tarzieff, Smash J2. So he originally, Jeff is an interesting case, because like with the Intellivision Amico and with this, their original thoughts are probably more in line with what they probably should have thought the whole time. Originally, Jeff thought the Intellivision Amico was a scam.
Damn.
He first thought this was a grift. He did a video that he then took down saying, "Oh, you're people got to pay to vote. What the hell is Stuttering Craig doing?" But then what happens? The same way Tommy Tallarico pretends he's friends with Jeff, gives him a Ferrari ride. Craig probably got in touch with good old Jeff, say, "Hey, we should team up," and now they're buddies. And so he takes the video down. Now he's a part of it.
Jeff Tarzi is the most for sale person I can think of online. I mean, all you got to do is offer him some money and some access, and whatever he thought sucked, he'll suddenly think is great.
Well, I don't know about offering money, but he thinks he can make money, expand his audience by leaning into it.
Maybe not offer him money, but offer him an opportunity to make money.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or gain exposure, because hell, he came. Craig went to I don't know. I told you this. Craig did a podcast during Comic-Con weekend last year. He didn't ask me, and I'm local. He's asked me to be on the side scrolls before that I ignored. But he did a local podcast, and Jeff was there hanging out with them locally downtown.
And who did that?
Stuttering Craig did a podcast with Jeff. So they're connected at the fucking hip.
They love each other.
These two.
Yeah.
So when I see that, I try to keep my emotions in check, because I for sure would know that Craig has tracked some of the history of this individual and knows the history of that person with me and Ian. So that's a side thing. That's not a larger point, but that's just the thing I keep in the back of my head when I watch this stuff. It's okay, that's what you're doing. Okay, Craig. All right. Okay. So they showed some game trailers without permission. So there was blowback because of that, because some people didn't want to be involved with this. One of the winners of one of the awards found out about the show and how the things they said during it. We're talking about a show that we didn't talk about it. They had worst game journalist award and had 4 people on there.
Yeah, that's called directing people to. I mean, that's targeted. That's leading to targeted harassment.
So I could see, with good reason, why some people wouldn't want to be associated with this, or some of the presenters who in their opinions are pieces of shit.
So to jump forward a little bit just to make sense of this, he did a response to the
controversy. He even said controversy
because he wants the controversy. He's manufacturing it. Well, he makes it because it keeps him relevant. he kept saying about, he was like, when he was talking about the people who said they didn't want the awards or whatever, he's like, well, you can't say that because I didn't give you the award. The gamers gave you the award. So, you know, you can't just, you already got it. You got the award. It's not your job to say that you don't want the award. And he's like getting all upset. And it's like, no, man, if you focus on someone, they're allowed to come out and be like, this is garbage and I don't want to be associated with it. Cry about it, man. It's not their, what does that even mean? It's not their job to do that.
By the way, that video, there was no really accountability for the racist Kojima image.
Oh, no, it was just to rile people up more so he can get even worse people to give him more money.
And he said,
keep
like,
it.
He said they're scared. I have the quotes about what he said here. He said, like, they're scared that, you know, that this was a success, things like that.
A success. Okay.
So it's like, he's like, okay. What are more my thoughts here? So, obviously, push came to shove, not all the money was spent on this. Like, I'm in my head, if it was $30,000, I'm like, okay, hires John St. John to do a voiceover. Maybe that's $500 for an hour. I'm being generous. Animation for 30 seconds. If the guy was paid, you want to say that was $1,000 or $2,000? I don't know. Maybe did as a favor. That's a decent amount of work, even though we don't agree with what was in it. That leaves a lot of money left.
Sure does.
To do some stills, some Photoshop still images. Rip some YouTube trailers for some videos you don't have permission to show off the internet, and to hire an editor.
The only thing I'll say is if they're publicly there, I don't think you really need permission to show them, or do you? I'm
just saying. The whole point is this: we know that they didn't license the music out in the beginning.
Sure.
You know, so there was, in my opinion, not a lot of money spent on here. But I don't know for sure is because. What did I have you write down? Full transparent. What's it?
Transparency. Full transparency.
Well, you don't want to say trans because that might upset some people. But full transparency. That
might get fucking Craig all.
I have not seen full transparency with how this money's been spent, and I'm hoping that Craig would do the right thing and show a full profit and loss of the revenue from the sponsors and from the people that paid for an in-person ticket. That didn't happen because there's no in-person award, and all the $30 voters and followers.
If it's the first year or something and you want to instill confidence in what you're doing, you would absolutely be transparent about all of that.
I think showing a profit and loss with that would be not just easy to do. You can track that. I think it would instill confidence, and it would get people, not only get people off the back that would think that it was a total grift and you just took the money and ran. Craig said he didn't pay himself for it. To me, it's besides the point. You took people's money. I don't care if it's sitting in a bank account. It's gone from those people. Right. That's besides the point. You can take the money later. It doesn't matter. Right. The money's gone. The point is that it would not only instill confidence in people that might be critical, but I think the people that gave the money have a right to know. You might disagree with why they wanted to vote. Maybe some people didn't know. But they have a right to know where their money went, regardless whether or not you think they got taken for a ride out there.
I have a feeling a lot of them would say they don't care, just to.
I would think
similar to the Amigos thing. Like people are going to pretend. It's a sunk cost fallacy. They don't care.
I saw someone on Twitter that said, "Hey, I paid to vote for this, and I am not happy with that animation. Is this where my money went to?" I did see that.
So I think this does go back to what I said prior, though. I think this first time around, it doesn't, I'm not like super pleased. I think I think some voters, some viewers, some people involved can be forgiven because this had not happened yet before.
Sure.
And they did not know exactly what the final product was going to look like.
Sure.
I think there were flags, but for instance, someone in that, I feel like there probably were more than a handful of old Screw Attack fans who spent the money on it just to support Screw Attack and didn't really think too hard about it. I could see a lot of what did they call them, G1s? That's a rabid That's a rabid fan base. I mean, there's a lot of nice people in that fan base, but they're very rabid's maybe the wrong word, but they're very devoted to it.
Yeah, and they were a younger crowd 15 years ago. I talked about when I went to my first SGC in 2010, the average age of everyone was probably 17, 18.
Yeah,
19.
We've all grown up from there.
They might have grown up. It's 15 years later. They have a family. They got married. They moved across the country. And maybe they check, oh, Craig's still around, Ian. I'm going to check in to see, oh, they're doing a Game Awards show. Hey, I remember going to SGC 2012. Here's my $30. Mm-hmm. I totally see that scenario happening with some people.
Yeah, I can see people looking at this as not SGC, but I'm putting the same amount of money towards
I trust Craig.
A product. Right?
I trust Craig. He put on a good show. He ran a good website. He had AVGN on. He had his top 10s. Here's $30. without realizing what was actually in store.
Right.
It's totally possible, and I can see that happening. But I did talk with one of the sponsors from this, and he gave me permission to say I talked to one of the sponsors who, we'll just say this. I would be shocked if, in my opinion, if they came back the next year to sponsor again. Because I don't think they fully knew, what was in store. And you can say, well, maybe they should have looked into it more,
Well,
but
I mean, yes, but again,
not everyone, some people get the benefit of the doubt.
I think actions afterwards, such as not sponsoring ever again, will speak louder and truer.
Yeah. And I'll be interested to see how many people, if people re-up or not, if they get more people, some people drop off from it.
I think they could get a lot more people, but it's going to skew further and further
down that road.
So
because some people that spent $30 were turned off by it, but some people that didn't spend the $30 were like, oh, I'm into this.
Yes.
And now I want it in. So you might have a twisting thing.
Yeah.
Maybe more like worse podcasters will have a category for that next year. So yeah, so it's disappointing. Here's a quote from Craig. I have it here. He said, "You're scared and continue to hate." I would call it, let's continue to try to hold people accountable, because when it comes to, this was crowdfunded and it wasn't kickstarted, which it should have been, by the way, because a Kickstarter is what something like this is exactly designed to be.
Yes.
Because with a Kickstarter,
it's a barometer.
A barometer of interest, and you could have different tiers where, here's our goal. We hit 30,000 or 25, we can do a digital show. We hit 75,000 Ian, we can do in person. Because the FAQ on the site, did I put that down here? It says like, hey, why are you giving us money here? Let me read that real quick. I think I forgot to read that part.
I don't think I ever saw that, actually.
You scroll down. Why are you creating the Real Video Game Awards? How can I participate? Why does it charge money? Okay. Why does TRGA need to charge money? There are a number of reasons, but some of the biggest include creating a level playing field and gatekeeping our hobby. Every member's vote is valued the same. Well, not really, because you got to pay $30. I'm just saying.
Can I just point out that leveling the playing field and gatekeeping, it's an oxymoron. Like,
sure.
It's just fucking words.
Okay.
Written to make people angry.
If membership was free, the opportunity for bot/fake/spam accounts to skew the voting process would be much higher. I'm not looking to make money from the Real Video Game Awards. If that's the case, you should have a full disclosure, full transparency of the profit and loss. Again, this is about action and passion.
You'll be a hero.
I also need to build and maintain the platform. I mean, this is not a complex website. It is not. No. I'm just going to say that everything will happen on, update this dumpy little, he still calls the website dumpy in this FAQ. So the website's still dumpy? Like it hasn't been up, so the money didn't go there, or did it? This is not good to have this on your website.
Oh, shucks.
Most importantly, I want to create a physical award show that you can attend. That stuff costs a lot of money. Again, Kickstarter. Yep, $30,000 or $10,000 digital show, $50,000 in person, $100,000 in person, and we can fly out people to present. $150,000 in person, fly out people to present, and we can fly out nominees. Yep, that's how this should have been done.
Yep,
not just hey,
hit this digital, hit this in person, hit this digital, hit this celebrities, hit this in person.
Or nominees. These are like celebrities. But you see what I mean?
But yes, nominees.
Instead, we have an amount of money we don't know set aside, and I'm sure some of the nominees are like, well, how much money, or some of the members are like, how much money was actually used or set aside? We don't know that right now, but we now have to trust someone to hold the money until next year and do an in-person event. What if they don't get enough people to give money for an in-person event next year? What happens to that money? Is it going to be refunded? What happens? This is honestly, and you can look at the charter for in your state of doing a nonprofit. Something like this could qualify as a nonprofit. If you push it as, hey, it's socially irrelevant cause, we can do this. And if you did that, there'd be full public transparency. It would be all online.
Right.
And then not just that, as a bonus, if I give you $30 or $15, it's tax deductible. I'm just saying as a bonus to people that would give the money. And we'd be able to, and you'd have a board of directors that'd be all public. And then you would have full trust, in my opinion, of the larger community of people that didn't give money the first year or wanted to maybe give, but $30 is too much. I'm just giving you ideas, Craig, but Kickstarter, make them nonprofit. You still can do a nonprofit and transfer the money over versus it sitting somewhere already taxed. It would be tax free as well if it's a nonprofit.
Don't give them any ideas.
I'm just saying, like, if I was running it, that's what, and I didn't want to make money, I trust his word that, hey, I'm not taking any money. That's what you do.
Sure.
As a cause, to me, this is like a social cause that they're pushing, which is like a nonprofit sort of thing. So there you go. Did I miss anything on this?
No, I think we covered it.
We covered most of it. You had game trailers used without permission. You had folks involved that didn't know what probably the full what they were getting into, whether or not they should have known. And
the mission statement, the final the final product, and yeah, we're good.
The final product was bad to me. I don't think it celebrated games.
Like no, it didn't. And that's the thing. None of this ever does. It focuses on negative, and it's just bullshit. No gameplay even inserted, which I thought was strange. Like, you can't take 5 seconds to insert gameplay for what is being nominated. It's the least. It's the least effort.
Yes.
The least amount of effort necessary to get it done.
It was lazy. It was the lazy Game Awards.
Reactionary movements tend to be lazy.